Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of FooTea Fantasy, where we talk about football and FPL over a cup of tea. I'm your host Shouvik, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Shourabh. This is the Game Week 11 preview episode where we'll preview Game Week 11 from an FPL lens, and we'll discuss the potential teams to target in terms of attackers and defenders if you're planning to bring some in this week. We'll also talk about the best captaincies for this week, the best captaincy options, the differentials, a few burning questions that you might need answering. So yeah, a lot of things to look forward to and a lot of things to discuss. So uh, let's just dive into it. Just before we begin the episode, I would like to timestamp this pod, and we are recording it on a Thursday night, Indian Standard Time at about 11 o'clock in the night. So all the Champions League matches have been played, and we'll just touch upon the results and any significant events that is relevant to FPL. So in terms of the Premier League clubs in Champions League in the last couple of nights, I think Manchester City had a very shocking result. They slipped to another defeat, 4-1 loss to Sporting. This would feel like a treat to Manchester United fans who have Amorim coming in as the manager, and they'll be hoping already to have taste the same kind of success as soon as Amorim comes in, because I think Manchester United and City face off. I think mid-December, 15th of December, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, Manchester United fans were in superb spirits throughout
Hope
the
is
day.
hope is a good thing.
Yeah, but probably they're forgetting that they have the Manchester United team to play with Amorim and not the Sporting team.
Absolutely.
With all due respect to the Manchester United players and your team, it's just banter. But the level of hope which I saw, Shourabh, on the internet, especially on X. I mean, I woke up and I saw a post which compared Haaland and Victor Gyökeres, and the post said the Boot race for the 2025 season is going to be one for the ages. You just look at the foresight, and they're already assuming that Amorim will come,
And
Gyökeres will
Hoyland will
sign,
turn into Gyökeres.
Gyökeres will sign for them, and then Gyökeres will have a golden boot race with Haaland. So that's the kind of hope that Manchester United fans are, probably they're in a very dark place after Ten Hag. So a ray of light feels like sunlight at this point. So yeah, jokes apart, let's get into the business part of it. So yeah, Manchester City, concerns for Manchester City. We digressed into Manchester United, but Manchester City, I think it's a concern now, and we'll discuss it as we go into the pod, how we look into this fixture as well. But a 4-1 defeat, and even more significant was, I think, Erling Haaland missing a penalty, which we really don't often see from Haaland. And does that reflect his state of mind, whether he's a little low on confidence? So all those factors do come into play. We also saw De Bruyne get a few minutes, so that was quite positive for City fans.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that was from Manchester City. Another English club that slipped to a very unfortunate defeat, I would say, is Aston Villa. Because the way they lost that game, not that they played well, I think Bruges played a very good game, and I did not expect the game to be so competitive and Bruges to dominate such long periods of the game. But the in the manner in which the penalty was
Penalty.
considered,
Mm.
it reminds of a Gabriel incident. Sure, of you would probably
Yeah, but it wasn't given. I mean, that was in good spirit, and they shouldn't have given this penalty as well. I
yes.
mean, the this is not a mistake. That's something that's a misunderstanding between the ref and the players, and in the spirit of the game, that shouldn't be given.
Yeah, but in terms of refereeing rules or VAR, I mean, they cannot change that. There's nothing there which they can say, okay, this is not a penalty, and we are going to reverse
Absolutely.
this
Yeah.
decision. So it's all on the opposition club to say that, okay, sportsmanship spirit here, and we are not going to appeal for a penalty. Although if you go by the rules, it definitely is a penalty. I didn't understand from Ming's point of view as well. I didn't understand why he would do that. Even when we play football or when you see football being played, how often do we see somebody getting down and picking the ball up with their hand? You still use your feet. Even when it's a throw in, they hardly bend down and pick the ball up. It's always with their feet. You use your feet to just flick the ball up. Quite looked quite weird, felt quite weird, very unusual way to concede a penalty. But yeah, Aston Villa lost to Club Brugge, 0-1. That penalty was the game changer. Although you would have expected Aston Villa to score against Brugge from open play, but again they were quite disappointing. And I think after Spurs again,
Aston
yeah,
Villa, sorry, on that note, Aston Villa hasn't been actually creating a lot of chances. I mean, it has been the quality of, let's say, Rogers or Tillemans that has been bringing in those goals.
yes, Tielemans has been a big factor this season. He has been brilliant as well. And also, Luka Dean's set piece deliveries have been brilliant this season. Although he was not playing, Martin started. But yeah, Watkins missed a very big, very good opportunity also for Aston Villa. So yeah, will not go too much and read too much into the Champions League game. Otherwise, apart from Premier League, Barcelona won 5-2. They are super attacking this season. Rafinha, in 15 games, he has already got 11 goals and 10 assists. I think that's a crazy stat. So they are on the front foot in terms of attack. And a very shock defeat for Real Madrid and Madrid fans. They lost 1-3 to AC Milan. I think nobody expected that result. And Real Madrid are in a very poor run of form. They lost the El Clasico 4-0 as well. So yeah, not FPL relevant, but as football fans, you do look out for teams like Bayern, Real Madrid, and Barcelona, what they're doing. So just a small update for anybody who's listening. Bayern Munich also won their game 1-0. So yeah, that's from my side of the Champions League. Sure, I think you covered a couple of games as well. Why don't you update us?
Yeah. Firstly, I mean, it will be FPL relevant as well. Is Liverpool doing quite well? I mean, we expected Liverpool to do well, but not at this consistency in both the leagues. So Diaz scored a hat trick, Gakpo had a goal, and Salah created two chances, which was converted. I mean, in the last pod, we were. I mean, I was quite. Uh, I mean, I always brought up the topic that if Slot could play Diaz and Gakpo together, that would be brilliant because they have a quite good converter or a shot taker from Gakpo and the pacey Diaz, and that happened. So if you look at how they played, Salah had the same positions. He cuts in, creates those chances even from the right wing. Gakpo was doing the same from the left. Diaz was covering the entire pitch, and that's what we want the number nine of Liverpool to do, and that was quite uh, good to see. And
I think the FPL relevance here, the most, I think something that really surprised me and had my full attention was Diaz played the number 10 role
yeah,
instead of Soboslai, and he scored a hat trick, and that has me in full attention because if Diaz nails down that 10 role or starts playing that 10 role for this Liverpool side, I think it's a no-brainer in FPL, and everybody is going to flock after Diaz, and that's a big, big development.
Diaz won't play that because they would need a lot more control. I think Slot went with a far more attacking options since he had the strongest back four available. That saying, Robertson was not there in the strongest back four. It was Simicas, and I would prefer Simicas this season because he has a good delivery of the ball in him that Robertson hasn't produced this season. And Trent, luckily Konate was also back. So Trent, Konate, and Van Dijk are there. They proved quite solid at the back. Kelleher, as usual, did good. They kept a uh, they kept the opponent at bay. Uh, the opponent being the champions last season and the attacking team under Xavi. So I think it was a very good game from Liverpool. So we hope to see more against them, uh, more to see of Liverpool against the tired Villa. I think Villa has has 3 or 4 continuous away games. They have travelled to Bruges for this away game and then be traveling to Anfield for the next game. And I think that might be quite beneficial for
Yeah, they travel to Spurs as well, I think
the
for
travel to
the
Spurs as well. Yeah,
yeah. So this
exactly.
is back to back third match, I think, on the road for them.
Yeah, and an extra day of rest for Liverpool as well.
Yeah, and they play at home. So we'll discuss that as we discuss the matchups and the captaincy as well. We'll go into that.
And
What about your Arsenal team? Sure, why don't you take us there?
yeah, so the only positive thing that I could take away from Arsenal was Odegaard, although he played for just 2 minutes, being substituted for Havertz, who had a head injury, a cut that required stitches, and is now a doubt for. I mean, he will obviously play, but as per Arteta, he's a doubt for Saturday. Uh,
He'll clear that in the last training session.
yeah,
That'll be
that's right.
played out on Saturday probably. So that's the presser comment. If you all are waiting for the presser comment from Arteta, I just gave it to you. Sure. What do you think? Odegaard playing 2 minutes. Does he start against Chelsea?
Yeah, I think he starts. I think he he would start in that game. Maybe not get the full 90 minutes. Could be that he starts, creates that pressure against Chelsea, and then comes off the even 50, 60 mark, and then Arteta goes defensive. Since it's an away game, it could be that. Uh, another thing FPL relevant is Rice, and not FPL relevant to Arsenal is Rice has a broken toe. We got the news today, and even though Rice says he's fit, I mean he's fit and he'll play against Chelsea, but I think that's wait and watch.
Yeah, broken toes are not easy,
Yeah,
and you
it's not a
need
broken finger. It's a
yeah.
broken toe. I mean, he would have definitely played with a broken finger, but yeah, a broken toe needs for a defensive mid. That's kind of a
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, and you need clearance from the medical team. It's not like if the player
Exactly.
wants to play, you can play. So there'll be clearances from the medical team. So yeah, I think we've covered the Champions League roundups, and we'll discuss these teams again further as we go into it. So let's dive into the fixtures for this game week. And just before we go there, we've already covered our game week 10 team and scores in quite a bit of detail in the last part. So you can just uh, tune in there and you can go through it. But sure, very quickly, tell us a update about your rank and score, and let's quickly move on.
Yeah, I had a total of 55 points on an average game week. Uh, so I had a green arrow from 107k to 70k. So my team had Flecken in goal with 4 points. The defense was extremely bad with Luca, Dina, Lewis, and Trent with 3 points total. In midfield, I had Salah captain, who returned and with 18 points. Rogers and Johnson playing in the same game returned with 9 and 8 points, and Mbumo with just the clean sheet and 3 points. In attack, I had Haaland with two, Jackson with one, and just Wood returning with 7 points. So in my bench, the notable player was Semenyo, who returned 10 points, which looks positive for the upcoming weeks.
Yeah. Did you not just sleep with 12 points for Flecken and woke up to 4? Does it
Yeah,
hurt still?
that was bad. That was bad. I really thought that this was the only game week where he would keep a clean, but yeah, it didn't
Yeah.
happen.
No. Flecken can't stop his consistency of conceding a goal. So yeah, let's quickly move on now, and we'll quickly move on from my team even more quickly because I had a horrible week. So 33 points for me in game week 10. This was my second consecutive red arrow, and I slipped from 1.4 million to 1.9 million, and in 2 weeks I have actually slipped from 700k to 1.9 million. So that's a big rank drop, and I need to arrest it this game week. So I had Raya in goal with a save point, 3 pointer there. All three of my defenders gave, I mean, blanked, and I had Lewis 1 pointer off the bench, Konate 1 pointer. Uh, just lucky that he's fit now. Mikolenko conceding a goal against Southampton. Rogers, the only one returning big from my team, 9 pointer from him. Son with an assist. Uh, Mbemo, Haaland, India, Watkins, Foden, all just blanking. And I had Aitnuri on the bench, Carvalho on the bench, all 1 pointers. So just absolutely nothing to talk about. So let's just move on and let's look forward to this game week already. So let's we'll look at the clean sheet and goal scoring odds as we usually do, but just let's on this particular slide, let's just identify the notable fixtures that this game week we're looking forward to. I think sure I think on the first day, that is Saturday, I think the most awaited fixture would be probably Brighton and Man City because a lot of people will have Haaland captain, and it'll be interesting to see how City respond to their recent slump in form.
Yeah, that's the game to watch. And another game would be, I mean, we wouldn't watch it, but mostly relevant to the footballing world is West Ham versus Everton. I mean, both managers are on the verge of sacking, especially Lopetegui. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think it this is the last match, and if he wins it at home, he gets probably he gets a bit of more time. But yeah, let's see.
yeah. So two defenses were not functioning versus two attacks that are not functioning, and West Ham without Kudus, his ban got extended from 3 games to 5 games, so that's another blow to them. I think we missed Brentford versus Bournemouth also. I think in terms of FPL, that's quite relevant, given
Yeah,
that we have
we have,
Flecken, we have Mbomo, we have Semenyo, uh, right? So
and that could be a very high scoring game.
yeah, a lot of people might be owning this as well. So for attackers, I think it's a game to look forward to. If you have Flecken, you need to hide somewhere.
Yeah, even the
So
Wolves game is also quite relevant now. People, I mean, you have Ait Nouri, people now have Strand Larson and Cunha against Southampton. Southampton is always a team to
yeah,
target.
yes, definitely. But they'll be probably a little bit uh, better on confidence after they win at Everton.
Yep,
Probably feeling a little bit better, having found their first win. You feel like you find your feet in Premier League.
yep.
So it'll be nice to see how they follow that performance up. Coming on to Sunday, I think the big matches are there. On Sunday, we start off. I think it's Saturday late night in India.
Yeah,
So
it's
for
it's a late night match. Liverpool
yes,
Villa.
Liverpool, Aston Villa. So I think both Man City and Liverpool on Saturday night actually for us. So yeah, the big games will be there on Saturday as well. Sunday, I think, man, we start with Manu Leicester. A lot of people, I don't think in terms of FPL, a lot of people have actually jumped onto United at this point, but they'll all be keeping a very close eye on this game because this starts the run of three very good fixtures for Man United in Leicester, Ipswich, and Everton. So yeah, Man United, I think, especially for scouting purposes, it will be very interesting to watch how Man U go about it. And Forest again, people having Chris Wood. Newcastle again, I think the same as I talked about Man United. Newcastle is another team that people will be scouting now after their win against Arsenal, and will be hoping to see some positives. Although they're away from home, and this is always the concern with Newcastle going
And
away
this
from home.
is and Forest is quite defensively astute in terms of when they're playing at home. So this can I don't see this match as very entertaining in terms of football. It could be quite tactical, but yeah. Uh,
Yeah. I think again, if Newcastle probably score first, we might see a little bit of an open game. But if it's 0-0 or if Forest score first, I think they'll just close Newcastle down. They have been good defensively. Spurs Ipswich. This I think is going to be a blockbuster of a game, and I think most of the people will have their eyes glued on this match. We'll talk about the expected goals and all those things, but yeah, I think unanimously we all expect Spurs to go big here, and I mean, most of the FPL managers are just hoping who have Spurs asset that Spurs can put three or four past Ipswich. We end Sunday, I think, with the biggest
The,
game, the London Derby.
and the
Your
pod
team
derby as
versus
well.
our team. Yes, the
Yeah,
pod derby, Chelsea versus Arsenal. So yeah, this is what we have been waiting for, and I think the game week review pod would be quite interesting,
yeah,
given
absolutely.
how this pans out. So sure, let's move on and give some context to these fixtures now, and let's see what the market is saying.
Yeah, we can go team by team. I think that will be.
Yeah, let's start team by team. So where do you want to start? You'll start with Brentford,
Yeah.
right? Why don't you take us with Brentford and Bournemouth?
Uh,
Because you have assets from both the team.
yeah. So first of all, Bournemouth. Even though the CS odds of Bournemouth away are lesser, I expect Bournemouth to be a better defense than Brentford. Brentford has been horrible defensively, even at home. I mean, their goal scoring odds definitely increase at home. They are attacking, but they also would like to concede. And Bournemouth's attack has been very, let's say, on point. So Evanilson, uh, Semenyo, we have seen Tavernier, Clivert, everyone. So even Kirkes on the left. So their attack has been good, and I expect this to be a high scoring game, even though it says just over 1.5 goals for both. It could be a 3-3 or a, let's say, 4-3 game.
I actually don't expect Bournemouth to be conceding two or three,
That
because
can happen. Yeah.
Brentford, Mbomo has been good for us in terms of FPL. So I think it sometimes overshadows the fact that Brentford has actually been poor this season. They've not really dished out very convincing performances or solid performances, and haven't strung few victories together. If you see, I think the Wolves game, very open defense, 5-3 score, up, and against Ipswich, I think it was again 4-3. So their defense is anyways leaky,
Yeah.
and their attack keeps bailing them out. And once if their attack can be contained, which I expect Bournemouth defense to do better than compared to Wolves or Ipswich. So if the attack can be contained a little, I see Brentford struggling in this game, and
And
Bournemouth will be high in confidence as well.
yeah, absolutely. And this can be a, I mean, the total goal tally could go over 3-4, but yeah, the scoreline could be 3-1. I mean,
Yeah.
3-1 to Bournemouth.
So let's move to West Ham, and Everton. Oh, just as we are finishing Brentford and Bournemouth, I think if you're in terms of FPL, if you're looking to invest, I think Brentford are on the tail end of their good fixtures now, and Bournemouth
14
are.
is the last game week. They have a good fixture, and then it, I think, dies down till game week, what, 22, 23.
Yes, yes. And Bournemouth, I think, are just going to start that good run. So those are the two teams on the opposite end of the fixture tickers. So I think if you're investing long term, I think Bournemouth is the way to go. If you want a 2-3 week placeholder or something like that, I think Brentford are just fine. Vissa or Mbomo. I won't look at their defense at all. But yeah, and from Bournemouth, we have Shourav has already mentioned Cliver, Tavernier. You have the very popular Semenyo already. We don't need to talk much about him. And Evanilson, I think just because there's so many forwards and doing well, Evanilson gets overlooked, but he's a good pick, I think, in
Yeah,
FPL as well.
and yeah, I think we'll come to DCL replacements later, but if Van Elsen can become one, he's lesser priced than him.
Yeah. West Ham, just as we talk about DCL, West Ham, Everton, I find this a little hard to call this game,
The
because both teams are kind of on a similar trajectory, not attacking well and not defending well either.
yeah,
So,
it's a very weird game. I think something like the Chelsea United. I mean, in terms of how it would be, how the scoreline would go, it's difficult to call. And the notable absentees from West Ham are Alvarez, who got red carded
yeah,
last week, and Kudus,
kudos.
yeah,
Yeah.
whose ban got extended. I think Areola is carrying an injury, or he might fall. He has fallen out of favor, so I expect Fabianski to keep his place.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
So
from
in as you come to Fabianski, Shourav, I'll just want to ask you, do you start Fabianski this game week, hoping that he starts? Do you start him over one Flecken or two Araya?
I mean, if you're comparing it with Flecken, you know the answer. It we shouldn't talk about Flecken as a keeper. And if you're talking about Rhea, I mean, very well Arsenal with let's say Odegaard back, even though he plays 45 minutes, but with the defense fully back with White, Timber, Saliba, and Gabriel, Rhea could very well keep a clean sheet. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I generally Chelsea Arsenal games are high scoring, but Rhea keeping a clean sheet would not come as a surprise to me.
Yeah. Well, Chelsea Arsenal used to be high scoring when Eden Hazard was playing for Chelsea.
Uh,
Okay, so moving on. West Ham, Everton. Just as we move out from this fixture,
Ever,
Everton,
yeah.
because a lot of people have Mikolenko's and maybe DCL. Do you start those assets against West Ham? Do you start a Mikolenko in defense, or do you start a DCL in attack, or McNeil maybe?
So McNeil is always a good option. I mean, West Ham, if West Ham concedes, McNeil can be one of the creators for it, or even the scorer. Mikolenko as well. West Ham's defense is toothless. I think um, Ings is not firing. Kudus is not there. Who was their main threat? It could be something magical from Bowen, but yeah, I would start both of them. But I wouldn't start DCL because first DCL is not.
He's had
I
his
mean,
chances. I think he's
yeah,
had his
he
fixtures. He's had
he's
his chances.
he's not playing well, and that to an away game.
Yeah,
And secondly, is DCL has not been pictured in training at the moment, so he could be a doubt, and better could start over him. So the minutes, the first thing with DCL was his minutes, his penalty, and the minutes are gone now.
yeah. So I think DCL is a sell from our side. I think that is our recommendation that you just replace DCL. There are a lot of good options, and we'll talk about it as we go forward. Brighton and City. The projection that the markets are giving are City to score over 2 goals or just 2 goals and have a clean sheet percentage of 28%. I kind of find it hard to agree with. Um,
So yeah.
ju- just because, not only because of the form, also City, this is their fourth game in a row, away game in a row. I think they traveled in the Carabao Cup to Spurs, they traveled to Bournemouth, then they traveled now to all the way to Portugal for to play with Sporting Lisbon, uh, and now they'll be traveling to Brighton, and you know that would be less of a concern if they were in a good form, but given the kind of dip that they're going through at this point, and 4 continuous away games does take a toll, no matter how professional you are or whatever it is. But it takes away that extra day of training, it takes away an extra day of rest, and you have less time, you have less familiar um, facilities and ground and everything. So it does play a part. And when you're not in confidence, when you're not in that form, I think it does play a part because at the end of the day, everybody is a human. So yeah, I don't,
and
I
given
really,
the
I'm not,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, go
and
ahead, go
given
ahead.
the fact that City had lost to Brighton at the Amex, this would play up in the back of their mind that Brighton is not a team to roll over.
Yeah, and also we talk about cities travel. You have to remember Brighton is not in Europe, and
Uh,
they had a complete week of rest. They had nothing to do but prepare for City. So extra rest, extra training. Um, I see. I think this game could be a lot more closer than probably what the markets are at this point estimating. I think these odds were after the City had played Sporting, but still, I think this is a little over projection in favor of City.
yeah, but still, I would expect City to score at least a goal or two because Brighton has been extremely poor in terms of they make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah,
I mean, they could give away simple chances to City, which, if lucky, Haaland could convert if he finds his shooting boots.
yeah.
But the CS odds 28%, I wouldn't go with that. Brighton
No,
would
no.
definitely score.
Yes, even I don't agree with that at all.
I mean, they have
So,
Welbeck, they have Pedro. back. I mean, he's back in training. Even though if he doesn't play, if he comes on, he's still an attacking threat. So and with Mitoma, Rata, I don't think City keeps a clean sheet. Although Gvardiol could still be a good option.
So while we're on this, Shurab, let's just quickly talk about City's assets. Guardiola is obviously a very good option. You have to start him if you have him. Lewis, I think the conversation might be a little tricky there. But before we talk about Lewis, I think we should talk about Foden and Haaland as picks and as people looking to for people who are looking to move them on. So I have Foden in my team. I have Haaland as well in my team. Uh, unless you're making the switch to us, maybe if you don't have Son and you're moving from Foden to Son for a 1 week punt and you're probably again moving Son on in game week 12 because he's playing City, or you're moving from Foden to a you're selling Foden to fund Salah. I don't see probably logic in selling Foden this week. What do you think?
So yeah, so first just to cover Haaland, I don't think moving away from Haaland is the answer this week. He does take a lot of chances, and there are a lot of shots on target that he take. Even though if it's a simple header that the goalkeeper could have saved, it could be a match where the goalkeeper doesn't save and it goes in. So Haaland is definitely not a sell. Now coming to Foden, and since you bring Son's context, Son is playing uh, the game away to Galatasaray tonight. He's starting, and I mean he would have to travel back, and then I mean he definitely wouldn't play 90 minutes against Ipswich. Now coming to Foden and Son tactically, Foden primarily plays on the right, and right is where Estupinian plays for Brighton, and that's the position we have seen him getting. Teams exploiting that space, and Foden does take a lot of shots, so it could very well bode well for Foden. On the tactical aspect of Son plays on the left uh, against Ipswich, and Ipswich right hand defense is far more is better than their left side defense because Liv Davis bombs forward,
Yeah,
and I would rather have a Foden against Brighton, who gives a lot of spaces, than Ipswich. Uh,
Son against Ipswich.
yeah, Son against Ipswich, where Ipswich could set up a little more defensive. I mean, they could play a three at the back, and Son with lesser minutes. Foden plays 90, right? I mean, that's another plus point, and he takes a lot of set pieces. Son doesn't have set pieces in this team.
Yeah, but he has penalties. But yeah, I get your point. His minutes are the main concern at this point. I think Son, I think if Son is taken off at halftime today, or maybe just about 60, I think that's still a little bit
That's
of
still good.
positive because he's building up his fitness, he's been managed. So I think that's good. But if he plays 90, that's a big, big concern.
No,
I
he
won't take
wouldn't
that
play
as a
90. I mean, there is
yeah.
there is
I'm
absolutely no
actually
chance.
surprised that he's starting. The fact that you said he's starting, I had to check it, and I'm really surprised because I was kind of sure that he will not start, and I
Yeah,
thought he will just come off the bench for a last
there's a
30 minutes,
match
maybe
sharpness. Yeah.
max. Yeah, but very, very surprising to see him starting. So for me, this doesn't feel like a positive sign. Um, as we are on Son, let's just
Yeah,
talk
cover the
about
Spurs.
Spurs and Ipswich. So we've already talked about Son as a minute risk, but has penalties and has upside. You have to, hands down, Son is what makes Spurs attack click, and Son is the one of the biggest threat uh, in that team apart from Johnson. So, Son, we have already covered. What are your thoughts on assets like Solanke, Johnson, and Kulusevski? Not in terms of attack, because we know this is a good fixture for their attackers. That's just not a debate. Do you think any of them is captainable, or do you think it's worth taking a 1 week punt for any of these three?
No, so Johnson again. I mean, but 1 week punt, right? Spurs' fixture turn after this.
Yeah.
So 1 week punt is a very difficult this season because where we need to save transfers. I wouldn't
No,
recommend going with punt.
people might have wild card. People might just be wild
Yeah,
carding in 12, and
that
just let's say just that Palmer is injured, and you just need a replacement for Palmer just for 1 week because you're probably wild carding. Maybe just scenarios for people who are in that situation. We don't know yet, right? So
I would take a punt on Solanke then. Solanke and Johnson
Solanke and Johnson above Son.
above Son. Only because of the minutes.
I
Both
would
play
actually
90.
put Johnson number one, and I will put Son and then Solanke just because I think Solanke. I, there's a little bit of recency bias with Solanke just because he scored 16 points in the last game week. If you
Yeah,
know,
exactly. It's
in just the game weeks before that, he was dropping deep. The game, last game as well, till 70 minutes.
He
I
was
think,
dropping deep.
I mean, people on X had probably already made a case to sell him by the time 70 minutes came around. So just because he got the returns after that, I think there's a lot of recency bias. Solanke just doesn't give me that confidence. Johnson, on the other hand, does because he's continuously playing 90 every game, and obviously he's taking a lot of shots and he's attacking as well. Son, the only downside is his minutes. If he
If
had the
he
minutes,
if he
he
plays
would be
90, he
hands
goes
down.
on top.
Yes, he's hands down the best option there. Um, I think Ipswich, I don't think there's much to talk about. I don't think
But
there's
that
much to talk about the Spurs defense. Yes, you want to cover something?
exactly. And the clean sheet odds for Spurs defense is, it's the highest this week as per this chart, but it shouldn't be.
Yeah,
With Van de Ven and Romero is also missing.
yeah.
So
So
yeah,
yeah, that's a little. The markets are probably inflated. I think these will adjust as well before the game week starts. So that's from Spurs and Ipswich. United Leicester is would be an interesting game in terms of scouting purposes. I think United, if you want to take a punt on their attackers, even their defenders, uh, I'm not completely against it because it's a very good run of three fixtures. The only caveat will be Amorim coming in after this game, and two of those fixtures will be after Amorim comes in, and you just don't know who's going to start unless you're going for a very nailed pick like Bruno. I
or
don't
a
think you
delayed.
can, yeah, even yeah, Delit, but you can't be very sure that Dallo starts or Mazroy starts or
Yeah,
whether Garnacho plays left wing back or whether Garnacho gets dropped. There are too many questions, but there is upside with that. If you get it right, three very good fixtures, new manager bounce. There's a lot to like as well. So I will not recommend you don't go there. It's completely understandable if you want to take a punt, but it comes with a little bit of risk.
yeah. I would go with nailed picks. If you want to go with nailed picks uh, and something you want to hold on to, or maybe hold on to for at least 3-4 weeks, this is the week you go because they're
Yeah,
playing Leicester at home. Uh, they're on a high. They did secure a point against Chelsea. They did win against Leicester in the midweek. So I think this is the week to go if you're going United assets.
yeah, and I think in terms of nailed assets, I can probably confidently say only Bruno, Delete, and Onana.
Onana,
I would have said Martinez, but he's on four yellows and he's a walking red card. I mean,
yep.
he looks like he can just take a red card at any time.
Martin is. I won't. I would never. Even if it's like 4.0, he could give. He would take up a United spot and then could give you negative points any week.
Yeah, yeah. So don't like that. Yeah, that's on Manchester United, I think. Why don't you take us through Crystal Palace Fulham?
So Crystal Palace have will be missing a lot of their good players. I think it's huge who's missing, along with Eze with a hamstring injury, and Nketiah is also now injured. So I think their attack suffers quite a lot with this, and their midfield also suffers. So
Yeah,
Fulham could take advantage of it. Fulham does have everyone fit. Raul was good. I think it's, yeah,
and they're in good
ESR
form as
80.
well.
Yeah, they're in good form.
Good form and in a high after winning so late against Brentford.
Yeah, and the recent quote from their manager was that Wilson could also start. And I mean, if you remember when Fulham uh, came into the PL from the Championship, the season that they had the highest, when Mitrovic was playing, Wilson was the creator. I mean, he created like what 100 assists for Mitrovic that season. He took set pieces, and there's not a clear set piece taker in this Fulham team, so he could be the one taking a lot of free kicks, maybe taking away the penalty from Pereira.
Now
Yeah,
you're going too far. That's it. That's it.
that could be
You should,
anything.
you could, no, you need to stop there. No, but he's an electrifying player. Yeah, if
Yeah.
he just can't start in that team at this point because there are a lot of good players. But yeah, deserves to play the odd game for sure.
No, I don't think he would start. Mostly he would come off the bench maybe 30, the last 30, 40 minutes. But yeah, he could be very, very effective.
Yeah, he has a good impact even
Yeah.
in those times. Wolves Southampton. I think this is the fixture a lot of us are looking forward to. Eight Nouri owners, Cunha owners, Strand Larson owners. I think in terms of clean sheet, I don't think you're expecting a clean sheet if you have Ait Nouri as still, even against Southampton. But in terms of attacking threat, I think the Wolves have a very, very high ceiling this week. And I say that because Southampton would like to go and win this game. So they'll come out and try to play against Wolves. Wolves, don't forget, are
Or
bottom of
also,
the table.
yeah.
So Southampton will see this fixture as a must win because they are the competitors in that bottom three. So it's an
And
open game.
Gameweek is also in a tight spot.
Yes, he
He
needs
is
to win
better
this
than
fixture. Yeah, 10 game weeks, tough fixtures, all those. I won't say excuses because that's a fact, but that's now behind them. And if they don't start winning now, they could be in a very, very tight spot. So this would be a very open game in my opinion. And both teams, I think, will go for the kill, and that will leave spaces open behind. So if you have attackers, do play them. Liverpool Villa, I think, sure we have covered a lot of it.
Yeah, we
Do you
did
want
we
to
did
add?
cover. No, I think mostly Darwin would start this game up top. If and again something that we suggested in the last spot that between Gakpo and Diaz, I currently have I mean no concrete proof that either one would start or either one would play 90. I mean at least 80 plus. So it could be
And they
a rotation.
both played midweek. So
Both played
no,
midweek and both played really well. So
yes,
anyone could start.
definitely.
Uh,
One question for from this fixture: do you start Morgan Rogers if you have him? If you have to,
Morgan, so this is again, I mean, Villa's attack isn't extremely, let's say, they're not extremely attacking, but and that too away. So if you have a better attacker than Morgan Rogers, then I would bench Morgan Rogers. But in case you don't have any, I would play him over anyone like DCL because Rogers is always there in the box. I mean, he's creating chances for Watkins. He's
yeah,
there during those corners and set pieces. So yeah, I would definitely start Rogers. I mean, he's a good player, even though he's 5.0, but he plays like a
yeah,
7 to 8 million midfielder.
yeah. He's probably last
But
season's colepalmer with not that kind of an upside, but yeah, you get the point.
yeah,
Somebody you
and
can
but
play.
I wouldn't start anyone from the Aston Villa defense. That's I
Oh,
mean
you have
it's
Luca Dean. Come on.
Yeah, I wouldn't start him because I mean it's
Yeah.
going to
Yeah, we'll come
Anfield.
to that. Yeah, we'll come to that in our team selection.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, Nottingham Forest, Newcastle. I think again we just covered that in the last slide. I don't think much
It
to
could be a
add.
low scoring
Chris
game.
Wood,
Yeah,
yeah, Chris Wood at home. You can expect a goal. And with same with Newcastle, I think with
Saka.
that win against Arsenal, if you have Isak, I don't know how many people are owning Gordon at this point, but if you have them, obviously you start. Defense. Well, Nottingham Forest has been a good defense. So, what do you do with the defense, Shurab? Let's talk about the defense. Do you start a Forest defender or a Newcastle defender if you have?
Newcastle defender. I wouldn't start. because they could very well lose their clean sheet. It's an away game to Forest, but Forest defender I would start since the defenders like Ola Aina, Milenkovic, they are quite
Yeah,
attacking. I mean, they have a goal threat in them, and they could very well keep Newcastle out. Newcastle away doesn't they don't perform well, so
yeah,
I an NFO clean sheet could be well on the cards.
yeah. I agree with
I
you
mean,
there
you see,
completely.
these two teams have quite high clean sheet odds compared to the rest of the table.
Yeah, I think that's because Nottingham Forest have a good defense and Newcastle's away attack record is not that great. And on the other side of it, Nottingham Forest is not known for a team who's very free flowing or very high scoring or that kind of a team like probably you'll say Wolves are or probably Brighton are. So I think if they tend to hold back, they're a conservative team, the Nuno team.
Last
So yeah,
season, not this season. They're sitting third at the table. We tend to forget that.
yes, definitely. Um, any news on Morgan Rogers? I think we should cover
Morgan
that
Rogers is
earlier.
fit. Morgan Rogers is fit. His training, so
That's a good
no
news.
worries on that. Yeah.
So I think that's more reason why you not start a Newcastle defender. Chelsea and Arsenal. I think the odds say 1 point. I think I kind of agree with the odds here.
Yeah.
I think at the start of the season, if you told me the odds favor a draw, I would not. I would just say I wouldn't agree with it. Arsenal would have been the clear winners. But given Arsenal's form, given Chelsea's good form, and how they have clicked under Maresca, this would be a lot more closer. I'm not saying Chelsea will win it or this will end in a draw. Arsenal could very well win it, especially if Odegaard is 100% and kind of can play 90 or can have that because Odegaard's return will lift the spirits of the team up more than anything else. And they will be out there looking for a result because they'll be hurting. Arsenal would be hurting with their recent results.
And Chelsea sitting above them. That's another thing that
Yeah,
will play on their mind. They need to get
yeah.
those points.
Nice to
Um,
hear that from an Arsenal fan. Chelsea is sitting above them, right?
yeah.
So will actually Chelsea will happily take a draw because that will keep them above. I think Arsenal just
And
cannot
that's
afford to lose any more points.
exact.
It's
I think that's the thing that would play into Arsenal's favor. I mean, because Chelsea trying for a draw with their defense and with your amazing goalkeeper, I think it's
yeah, Robert Sanchez. Oh God.
yeah.
Don't remind me of him. But yes, another very crucial factor, just as Odegaard is for Arsenal coming back, I think Cole Palmer's fitness is extremely crucial. I don't think there's anything serious there yet.
It's
I didn't feel that from Mariska's press conference for the Conference League, but he needs to be there, or else it's heavily favoring Arsenal if Palmer is not playing.
absolutely. And another thing that Mariska mentioned is that if they would look into it if Palmer was would be training on Wednesdays and on the Wednesday, and the I think that today the training pictures have been released and there are no training pictures of Palmer among the 40-45 picks. That's
But
a
but
new.
sure, to be honest.
He could.
Yeah, I mean, come on. He's not in the Conference League squad, and you
He's not
know,
in the squad. He could be
if
training alone, but
yeah,
yeah.
and if he has a knock, why would you train him before a Conference League match where you are probably training for that match
Oh,
against Noah?
it could be. I mean, it could be that you train 1-2 days to build up some fitness or get rid of those, let's say, cramps, get into gear,
Niggles,
and
yeah,
yeah, and then you play that match. I mean, Palmer could start. He was named in the England squad, but
yeah. That's another giveaway because
but
he's
that
named in the England squad.
but that happens quite a lot. They get named in the squad, and then suddenly there's a knock. There's a fake knock,
Yeah,
which
and they pull out of it.
yeah, they pull
Arsenal
out.
would know all about it with
Yeah,
Kai Havertz's last international break only.
yeah, and they would do it again. He has a head injury, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that covers all. I just one thing that I thought we missed out here is Brighton and their assets, and I think defenders don't play them. If you have any Brighton defender, I don't recommend starting them over Man City. That doesn't make sense. But yes, if you have a Welbeck and you are in a tight spot with probably injuries, or if you can't bench him, don't have a good bench, I really don't hate starting Welbeck against City because City's defense have been terrible.
Yeah,
Sure.
Welbeck, I would definitely start Welbeck because if I have Welbeck, I and Haaland, then I don't think I would have much extra players to play over Welbeck. So, and this is not a, I mean, if I'm comparing Rogers with Welbeck, let's say, because I would have Rogers as my 5.0, I would very much prefer Welbeck because he's
Yeah,
at
same.
home and he takes direct free kicks as well, and he's good
Yeah.
with it.
And just general form of the team and
Yeah,
player, Welbeck is doing
that matters, and he's
much
fit
better.
now. So,
Right then, let's move on to our teams and transfer plans. Shurab, quickly tell us about your plans for this week and how many transfers and how many, what do you have in the bank?
okay, so I have two free transfers, 1.2 million in the bank, and my team. Uh, so starting with goal is Fabianski. I have kept Fabianski over Flecken, who's playing Everton at home. In my defense, I have Trent, Lewis, who I will definitely play. As a third defender, I have Colwell at the moment over Luca Digne. So
That's
out of
two, both of them, I think, with not
I
so
have
good fixtures.
horrible, yeah, I have horrible fixtures. So out of the two, Liverpool away and Arsenal at home, I would take Arsenal at home with this current Arsenal form. I mean,
And you don't have an Arsenal attacker, so it makes sense for your team as well.
yeah. So even, I mean, even if they keep 1-1 or lose 2-1, Colwell would give me like 1 pointer. Digne could get a yellow card, could concede 4 goals, and I could end up with negative points. So I'm not going there. So
You're still disrespecting Digne, and
no,
this is,
it's not Digne. It's purely Aston Villa's defense.
yeah,
Yeah, they could concede to Liverpool. I mean, even if he doesn't get a yellow card, he's concedes 4 goals like last week. He could give me 0 points. So
yeah.
and so in my midfield, I have Salah and Johnson who have good fixtures, and Mbumo and Semenyo who play each other. So like we said, it could be a high scoring. So I'm playing both.
Yeah.
Yeah. In my attack, I have Haaland captain, uh, Wood against Newcastle at home, and Jackson against Arsenal at home. I mean, even if Chelsea scored, Jackson could be involved, and playing an attacker always makes sense in a home game. And so in my bench, I have, like I said, Flecken, Lucardini, and Greaves as defenders, and I'm benching Rogers this week because I have better, I mean, more attacking defenders over him. So yeah, that's my team. And okay.
Any plans of any transfers?
So, I mean, the very obvious transfer for me would be bringing in a defender. I mean, that's what I've been thinking. But none of the defenders that I want to bring in have good fixtures this week, apart from Ait Nouri. So, uh, in the I I mean, the reason I'm not bringing in Ait Nouri at the moment or haven't brought in is because Wolf doesn't is not a good defense, and Ait Nouri is on 4 yellow cards. I mean, bringing him,
You can think about Manchester United's defense because it will give you a
yeah.
three-game run, and if you can nail down, if you can manage 5 million from somewhere, if you have something in the bank and you can manage 5 million, I think you can pick delete, and you can be quite assured of his starting for the
But
starting
it's
place for them.
just for 3 game weeks. That's the problem. I mean, 5 million uh, would basically block up a lot. I mean, I would be transferring out Rogers because sorry, not Rogers, Greaves, because Colwell and Digne, even though they have bad fixtures this week, from game week 12 they have an extremely good run for a long time. So I don't want to get rid of them. I don't want to get rid of Trent or Lewis this week. Uh, Lewis, I still want to keep even in the long term. The so basically upgrading Greaves to delete is like 1.1 million more or 1 million more, and that 1 million could be used elsewhere in the attack. That's what I don't want to go. That's why I don't want to go for delete. Uh, Other United defenders like Mazraoui is 4.5, and again we do not know how Amorim will set up, or will Mazraoui be nailed in that left wing back or left back spot? It could be a
Yeah. So you have decided on starting Jackson over Rogers. Is that nailed in your head? I mean, are you locked there?
uh, yeah, mostly because Jackson. Just because of Villa's tiredness, uh, and Jackson will be rested in the and Jackson being
Conference.
rested, yeah. So I would very much play Jackson because this even if he gets a yellow card, it's I mean I still get to play him this week at least. So
So okay, so yeah, that's your team, and so any potential transfers would be in the defense. So that's something to uh, ponder for you going
I
into
think
the game
defenders
week.
will cover in some time. So yeah, I'm just
Yeah, yeah, sure. Uh, Coming to my team, I have at present I have Raya in goal. I have Konate, Mikolenko, Aitnuri starting in defense. My midfield is Foden, Bumo, Son, Rogers, and my front line is Watkins, Haaland, and India. And on the bench, I have Fabianski, Lewis, Carvalho, and Greaves. So before I come to transfers, I'll just cover my starting 11, and I think Lewis will play. Lewis is on the bench here, and what my thinking is, if I play Lewis over a Rogers and go for a 4-3-3, so all that might not sound very like a common structure, but that's what is simmering in my head. I think I just want to play Lewis, but the only one I can bench is either Rogers or India because I'll come to Watkins and Foden and what I'm planning to do with them in a while. But in terms of benching headaches, I think I either bench India, Rogers, or Mikolenko. There's no other option for me. So I have to play three out of these four. Mikolenko, Rogers, India, and Lewis. I have to play three out of these four. So one of them gets benched, and I think it's between Rogers and India whom I bench because there I see the least potential of a return. Mikolenko also I don't feel like he's going to keep a clean sheet, but still somehow gives me a little bit more confidence than probably Rogers maybe. Because
yeah.
they don't have West Ham has attack has been poor and they don't have Kudus as well.
Yeah,
Wow.
I wouldn't bench Mikolenko. Uh, I mean, I generally on benching dilemmas, I always prefer the attacker because they might get a return. And if you're playing Watkins, I think Rogers playing Rogers makes sense because he could be the assister or the scorer. So in that way, it makes sense. And like we talked about, Brighton being that attacking, I don't expect City to keep a clean sheet. So it's more
Yeah.
like hedging your bets whether you want to bet on a attacker bringing in more points or a defender.
Yeah, so I'm going to I'll reveal my transfer plan. I have two free transfers as well, and just because you touched upon Watkins and that dynamics, I'm going to transfer Watkins out because I am going to free up funds from Watkins and I'm going to upgrade Foden back to Salah. I think it's been a long time not having Salah, and that hurt me from game week 6 onwards. And that in hindsight, it was a poor decision on my wild card. I think I had a good team before the wild card, and I think I ruined it on my wild card. So I'll try to fix uh, that mistake that I did. So Salah is going to come back for Foden. So that means Watkins goes and a cheap striker comes in. Cheap in the sense I can probably go up to 7.5. But yeah, I'll probably not go there because I have to save some funds for the transfers planned ahead as well. So Watkins is not going to be there. Foden will become Salah. Now, in that structure, I think the options would be to bench either Rogers and India, if you get the point now, why I'm confused there.
Yeah.
So again, three out of four, Mikolenko, Rogers, India, and Lewis. So any three out of four. Whom three would have started? Sure, if I ask you.
Oh, it Mikolenko definitely first. uh, and NDI because NDI is playing mostly 90, and it's a game Everton would like to win against a poor West Ham defense. So I would bench Rogers.
Yeah. So you said start NDI. If you would have asked me to bench NDI, that would have resulted in another decision, and that would have been to start Fabianski against Raya, because that's another dilemma that I'm facing.
No, Rea
Whether
is a far better keeper than Fabianski.
Yeah, but in terms of the attack, if you see the opposition, as I say, I think a couple of pods back also, in one of your benching dilemmas, I said this, that you sometimes when you're very confused, you look at the opposition as well. And I think Everton's attack versus Chelsea's attack, uh, there's a little bit of difference there. But again, Arsenal's defense, and with Odegaard back, we've talked about it a lot. Will not repeat it. So yeah, at this point I have Raya, and I think I'll start with Raya.
And,
There's no point taking a punt on. If it was Flecken like you, I think I would have gone with Fabianski.
yeah. And what attacker are you planning on bringing in? Is it
I'm confused actually. So I
what's
have
the budget actually? If you want to, let's say, move a Son to a Palmer in the future or a Saka, so you'd need to go up a million more, right?
yeah. So if I go for Palmer, I think I need a million more. But if I
Mhm.
go to Saka, it's just point 2.
Yeah, he's a
So
10
he's at 10.1.
with one.
Son is 9.9. I think I bought him at 9.8, so point 0.3. So Saka is not that big of a jump. But if I go to Palmer, I'll need 1 million, and I will keep that uh, option open for me.
Oh, yeah,
So
since you won't have a Chelsea attacker for the next run.
yes.
So
So
if you go Palmer, how much will you? Around 6.5?
I'll have 6.7 to be precise, but I will have to move NDI on as well. So a little bit of fund. So you can say 6.5 maybe. 6 to 6.5 is something that I'll have for moving Watkins on,
For
from
moving
moving Watkins.
Watkins. Okay, without moving NDI.
Yeah, without moving NDI, because NDI will have to be moved later on. I only have two free transfers. So have to save funds to upgrade Son, and I have to save funds to upgrade NDI.
Okay, you
So
want to upgrade NDI. Yeah, then
later on,
that's,
going on, but this week I can't,
yeah,
but
got it.
in subsequent weeks, NDI is not going to return long term. He can't be in the team long
Absolutely.
term. Can't be a
And
starter.
Everton fixtures turn.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So a lot of decisions there. So it kind of limits my options a lot.
Yeah,
Uh,
you have to look at that combination of I mean the two strikers that you want to bring in. I mean
yeah.
that's the because for Salah and Palmer are respectively coming in, irrespective of anything, right? They're coming in
Yeah.
if
So
Palmer
it's
is
not
fit.
decided between Palmer and Saka also,
Saka. Yeah.
because now both have a very good run of fixtures from 12 onwards, but I can't have both, and I can't have no matter whom I bring in from Saka or Palmer, I can't have a Havertz or a Jackson to cover the other attack.
No, you can't. With
So
Haaland, you can't.
it's just one team that I can invest in. So it's either Chelsea or Arsenal, either Saka or Palmer. So that's a dilemma for me. So all these decisions are, in there. So I want to keep those options open. So I want to go for, uh, let's just put it this way, I want to go for the NDI replacement now, the cheap one now,
Okay.
so that I can keep that option of Palmer Saka and the consequent uh, striker option open.
Okay. Okay. I think from a budget like sub 7 million, I mean, if you're going budget sub 7 million, I think Cunha has the best fixtures and form. He's on set pieces. He's taking a lot of shot. He's taking. He's creating a lot more. He does take a lot of shots that
Yeah,
contributes to his bonus. So Cunha is a standout option, but he's 6.7, right?
he's
Yeah,
6.6
I think he had a price rise today. So it's 6.7.
today. Oh,
Yeah.
then he's out of the conversation.
So Cunha could be a good option. The second option could be Strand Larson. He's quite low. I think it's 5.7.
6,
It's 5.6. Didn't he
5.6.
rise?
He rose in price and got to 5.6. He was 5.5.
Oh. So yeah, I think Strand Larson is also a good option because Wolves fixtures. are quite good for quite a long time.
Yeah.
Now, other options are, I wouldn't go Wood at the moment because they would be facing Arsenal and City away.
No, I will not go Wood. I am thinking I would have actually gone for João Pedro also, but I don't know if he'll start because Brighton's
João
fixture
Pedro,
this week is not good. But coming week, again from 12, that teams that we are talking about, Brighton have a very good run of fixtures.
Brighton, yeah, you could very well go Welbeck because even when João Pedro was fit and playing 90 minutes, Welbeck was still starting at number 9.
Yeah,
So going Welbeck is, and I mean, from game week 12 itself, they have a good fixture. They
yeah.
have a decent fixture for Welbeck to score. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I'll have to see all those things. So this week, I think, yeah, that decision actually, I think probably I have to fixate in the next 24 hours that I'll go for Palmer or Saka because that has a very big repercussions right from choosing the striker this game week. So I think if you had an option between Saka and Palmer, sure, let's have your views. Whom would you pick?
I Saka and Palmer. I mean, at today with Palmer's news and
No, I mean from game week 12
in general
onwards.
from
12
game week
onwards.
12 onwards, yeah, I would go. Uh, the thing is, Saka is also very talismanic for Arsenal, and he's cheap. So that's the problem. I mean, if I'm short on funds, I would definitely go Saka, but Palmer is a better option because of the immediate fixtures that Chelsea play. I think they play Leicester and Southampton within a 3 week period.
I think both are talismanic, both are on penalties. But
Both
I
are on
think
penalties.
if you compare the two, I think Saka's floor is higher. He's almost always giving you a return, but Palmer's ceiling is much higher. I think he's the one who gets those 4 assists, 4 goals. Saka will give you an assist, a goal, but
But he will take away the bonus. Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's like when I was giving the Watkins example. I mean, Palmer would bring in, let's say, 15 points and then a 2 point, 17 point in 2 weeks, and Saka would be like, let's say, 10 point and then a assist uh,
yeah,
and a yellow card, but still gets a bonus and then 6 points. So it will be like 17 and 16, something
yeah,
like that. So it's very, but the only thing is, whoever you bring in, you have to hold long term to get the
yes.
benefit out of this uh, average.
Good run of fixture, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So we have discussed in length on my team and these decisions, and I think we're running out of time as well. We'll try to have a pod in the international break where we'll discuss the run of fixture that we're talking about post game week 12, and we'll look ahead to the next set of fixture run because December would be a congested period as well. And uh, let's do a pod in the international break where we'll probably have a very detailed look at the fixtures and the players that we can target. So let's move ahead and quickly answer some of the questions that the community is generally asking and thinking about. So Shurab, let's start with you again. Cole Palmer, if out, whom do you replace him with? Let's give two options: 1 week punt, and if it's a long-term injury or if you want to go long-term replacement.
So 1 week punt would be, I would go with Son because he still has uh, he still has an amazing fixture. That too, today's game dependent. If he plays, uh, how long he plays, how fit he is, if he has any knocks at the end of the game. But even as a short-term punt, Bruno is quite good because for the next, even this fixture, it's Leicester at home. Next fixture is Ipswich away. Then I think it's Everton at home. So
Yeah.
that's a very good run of fixture as a short-term punt as well. So yeah, those are the two options.
So if I had to pick, I think short term I would pick Brennan Johnson so that you don't have any Son related issues in terms of minutes.
No, we
Just
are
1 week.
picking players from each other's team, right?
No, so Brennan Johnson short term, but if you're looking for a long term replacement, we just had a conversation about Cole Palmer and Saka almost being comparable over the coming fixtures. So long term, I think if you don't have Saka, you have Palmer, you can simply move to Saka and hold him long term.
Yeah.
For
I mean the yeah, realistically, I mean I get your point and support it, but realistically, Palmer wouldn't be out post IB, right? So there's no point in
definitely,
replacing. Yeah,
definitely.
that's the whole point. And short
Yeah.
term punt would be would be just the 1 week punt because in terms
Either
of Palmer,
either Spurs or United short-term
United,
punts.
yeah.
That's it. That's your answer. Uh, cheap less than 5 million defender for fixture run. Sure. One option. That's it. One name.
Mm, I would go back to the player I had in Game Week 1, Luis Hall.
Oh, he was my pick as well. But because you have picked him, less than 5 million, if you're looking long term, I'll give two teams from where you can choose, and that is one is Chelsea and another one is Brighton. Both game week 12, less than 5 million, you'll find options there. Dunk, Colville, you can take your pick, and that's a good fixture run, I think. But yes, Hall is a good one. If you don't have Ait Nouri, I think he's top of the tree. Get him. Okay, for this game week, defenders, if you have to pick, rank them 1, 2, 3, 4. Everton, Forest, Brentford, Newcastle. Sure, just rank them 1, 2, 3, 4.
Forest 1, Everton 2, Newcastle 3, Brentford 4. I mean, Brentford doesn't come into the question at all.
I think I'll go same. Everton 1, Forest 2, Newcastle 3, Brentford 4.
I went Forest 1.
Forest 1. Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Uh, I'll still go Everton first, just because of the opposition in West Ham and Everton, Daesh. Let's see. I think Everton 1. I'll go Forest 2, Newcastle 3, Brentford 4. Rank the following players for this game week. ESR, McNeil, Semenyo, Rogers. Sure, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, Semenyo 1, ESR 2, McNeil 3, Rogers 4.
Fulham play Crystal Palace, right?
Yeah, but they have a very they don't have the attack in them, and they could very well sit back, but sit back wouldn't work from them. Work for
Yeah.
them. So, yeah,
So Semenyo 1. Yeah, I think I'll agree with that. Semenyo 1, ESR 2, McNeil 3, Rogers 4. Although it's close. I'll like to mention it here. I think it's close between ESR and McNeil in number for 2 and 3. Uh, both have good fixtures. Both have been good. So yeah, we can. I think that's that from us. Let's go and discuss the captaincy options. I think uh, this week has it's a conversation. Most weeks it's not a conversation, but I think this week it's a conversation. Haaland against Brighton. Um, again, City 4 away matches on the bounce. Brighton completely rested. You can go with your narrative. You can also say Brighton has a high line. Haaland has been getting chances, and he can punish. He'll look to come back to form. All those narrative. You can choose your narrative. I think both the sides of the stories uh, uh, you know uh, are
absolutely.
viable. Salah
I,
versus Aston Villa.
yeah.
Uh, we'll just run through the options and then we'll have your thoughts as well. If we can take it that way. Salah versus Aston Villa against Aston Villa third game on the row away, while Liverpool this is again a home game. The midweek game against Leverkusen was also home. So and a better functioning team. Definitely, Spurs assets are in the conversation versus Ipswich. Son, Solanke, Johnson. We'll come to that, and we'll have a discussion here with you, Shurab. Differential, I think Bruno versus Leicester, Cunha versus Southampton. Shurab, tell us where are you with the captaincy options? With your option, because you have Haaland and Salah in your team, both of them. Where are you with Haaland and Salah, and how are you ranking them?
Uh, Going purely by the team form, I would have preferred Salah, but it's more like I expect Haaland to bounce back. So it's more like a 51-49 decision. I have my vice captain on Salah, and I was switching around. So
Yeah.
currently I'm going with Haaland, but
Hmm.
yeah, we'll see. It can change. On hmm?
Just last thing that I want to say on Haaland or Salah. If you're very confused, I think you should just not you. I mean, whoever is listening to this pod. If you are really confused about Haaland versus Salah, I think a way to come out and make a decision is for you to think, what do you think each of them gets from this game. If you think both of them get a goal, you still put the armband on Salah because he gets more points for the goal. And we
Clean
saw,
sheet.
yeah, we saw this against the Southampton game for City. Haaland, even if he scores that one goal, if he gets that winning goal, he's still not getting bonus. Salah, if he even gives an assist, he's in the bonus, one or two bonus. And if he scores a goal, he's definitely in the conversation for bonus. So I think a way to make that decision is just to think, if Haaland is outscoring Salah by at least one goal, because Haaland has almost zero assist potential as well. That's the point I wanted to make. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean that absolutely makes sense. But the thing is, I mean, Villa could very well defend or mark Salah, but Brighton wouldn't. That's the only thing. And Dunk is not there, so Haaland generally is kind of a bully.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Flat
I mean,
track bully.
yeah, yeah, he does. I mean, Brighton is not a flat attack team, but even then, if Haaland starts scoring, that's what I'm most concerned about because he
Yes,
could
and
very well score a brace.
his ownership is also high. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, more than ownership, it's more like it's a game where the opponent would give you spaces.
yeah.
So
We're running a lot over time, but the conversation is so fun that you just want it to go on. So we'll take, since it has already gone over time, we'll take this conversation with the Spurs captaincy option. Sure. Do you do you go and captain a Spurs player? Do you do you think that has upside?
if I don't have Haaland, I would have captained Johnson. I mean, I was a bit. I mean, I was thinking a bit. Johnson came into the picture because I talked about the positional weakness Ipswich had, and Johnson, he's direct and he could very well get a goal or two. I wouldn't be
Yeah,
surprised. I mean, he was about to get a goal. If Solanke hadn't tapped that third one in, it was for Johnson. So, yeah, Johnson could very well exploit that space. In fact, he's a
I
more
still, yeah, yeah. Go ahead, go ahead.
in fact he's a more lucrative option than the other teams even
Yeah.
because Leicester could very well sit deep. Southampton, we saw what they did against City. So yeah,
And even against Everton, they've done it back to back.
then-
You might just argue, we haven't talked about this. You might just argue that Southampton have realized that they're not going to survive playing the way they did in Premier League and are probably going to sit back. Just an argument. Probably, if we see the same approach this game, probably next spot we're talking about it. That Southampton, they're sitting deep now and counter-attacking. Yeah, that's a very good point, Shurab. I don't have any confidence on Solanke as a captain.
I wouldn't.
I wrote it here just so that we get our views on it. I had my captain's armband not in the picture that we just showed, but in my on my app right now. I have my captaincy on Son.
No,
But
that
while we are doing this pod, we just got news that he's starting, and I think that will force me to go away. But I was really uh, tempted by a Son captaincy this week.
yeah, Son. I mean, see, these are the weeks where you have attacking teams playing very uh, teams that concede way too many goals. I mean, these are the weeks to go different.
Yeah, let's see. I'll see what Ant says about Son in the pressers, and then make a decision on this. So I think that's on the captaincy. Cunha versus Southampton, as we said, very good option for Cunha, but Southampton if they sit deep. If you really want to take a punt, Cunha could be one. Uh, but yeah, differential for this week. This is the most exciting part of our pod. Every time, sure of your differential.
Uh, I would go with Bruno, since I mean this is a week of good players playing weak teams. The only different player under 10% ownership that I found was Bruno, uh, and a particular reason that I'm going for him is that he could uh, very well score against Leicester or assist, because Leicester have been very poor in set pieces. He takes corners, and Bruno takes a lot of shots from outside the box. Leicester concedes tons, so one or two shots could go in.
Yeah.
That's
So good, very good pick there. Bruno Fernandes. I think a lot of people are actually looking at playing Bruno. So my differential for this week would be Wolves' Strand Larson. I think he has got the same number of returns as Cunha. He doesn't have the assist potential, but I think his XG is right up there. He's in good form. Plays a Southampton side that has been conceding goals through the middle. And I think Strand Larsen is a very good shot and could do very well this week. So, and he has good fixtures long term as well. So if you're bringing him in, you could actually hold him and for don't need to just transfer him out uh, going ahead. He can keep that place in your team as an eighth attacker or seventh attacker. So
yeah.
Strand Larsen this week for me.
Just as we speak, Spurs is losing 3-1, and the only goal that Spurs scored was from their number 9.
From the number 9.
Yeah, the one who's playing up top, assisted by Brennan. So I think it could be an indication of how Solanke will do after we have talked. But
Lancashire is starting up top.
yeah, Lancashire is starting. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, okay. Yeah, Richie is injured. So, Solanke rested is a good sign for the weekend. Right then. So I think we have had a long conversation in this pod, and but it was really fun and very great insights that we had going into the weekend. Lot to talk about also uh, for this week's preview. Uh, this is it, I think, from our end. We've covered everything and covered in detail as well. I hope you found it useful, and if you
Yeah,
did, yeah, sure.
it was a fun discussion as well. I mean, helped our teams.
Yes, helped our teams, and I really hope that if you're listening to us, we could help your decision making and your teams as well. And if you thought we were even a tiny bit helpful to you, do give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. And as we always say, we would love to interact with you in the comments. You can also reach out to us on X, Instagram, and Threads at FooTea Fantasy. We're always looking forward to your queries, comments, questions, whatever it is. So it would be fun to interact with you. Hope you all have a very good week. May all of you go into the international break with fat, big green arrows. And we'll see you on the other side of the game week, probably on a Tuesday or Wednesday with the review pod. And probably that will be a special pod as well. There's a little surprise. Probably we'll see about it. So yeah, have a good week, everybody. So, on that note, I think that's it from us. Sure up.
Yeah.
That's
Thanks for
all.
joining.
Yeah. Bye bye. Take care.